The airport buzzed with voices, footsteps, and the static hum of overhead announcements. Emma Hayes clutched her boarding pass tightly as she approached the gate, her heart pounding with a mix of relief and excitement. After a long week of job interviews, rejections, and sleeping on her friend's couch in New York City, she was finally heading home to her small town in Indiana. Her savings were nearly gone, but this flight felt like the promise of peace, even if only for a few days. She glanced at the monitor, last flight out tonight, gate closing in minutes. She picked up her pace. Just as she reached the boarding queue, her eyes caught sight of a man a few steps behind her. He looked exhausted, his shirt wrinkled, his face shadowed with stubble, and in his arms, a little girl about 4 or 5 clung to him, her head resting sleepily on his shoulder. Her curls bounced as she stirred, rubbing her eyes with a tiny fist. "Daddy, are we getting on the plane now?" the girl mumbled. The man shifted her weight and gave a weak smile. "Soon, baby. Almost there." Emma's fingers tightened around her boarding pass. The gate agent had just announced that the flight was overbooked. They needed one volunteer to give up their seat. A voucher and hotel stay would be provided for the night, and the next flight out would be early morning. Nobody moved. Emma looked back again. The man's eyes met hers, and she saw the fatigue, the desperation of a parent just trying to get his child home. She hesitated for a moment, then took a breath and stepped out of line. "I'll give up my seat," she said. The agent looked up in surprise. "Are you sure, ma'am?" Emma nodded. "He needs it more than I do." The man stepped forward, disbelief etched across his face. "Are you sure? You really don't have to." "It's okay," she smiled, holding out her boarding pass. "She's tired. You need to get her home." He stared at her, momentarily speechless. "Thank you. I don't even know your name." "Emma," she replied. "I'm Daniel. And this little one is Sophie." He looked at his daughter, then back at Emma. "You have no idea how much this means to me." The agent printed her a hotel voucher and a ticket for the morning flight. Emma stepped back and watched as Daniel and Sophie boarded, the little girl waving sleepily before disappearing down the jet bridge. Emma spent the night at the nearby hotel, not thinking much about her small gesture. She'd done what felt right. She didn't have a job, but she had time. That man had a child in his arms. Sometimes, it was that simple. Back home the next day, Emma returned to her quiet life. Weeks passed. She kept applying for jobs, marketing, admin work, retail, anything that could help her pay off student loans. Her optimism wavered, but she held on. Then, one crisp Tuesday morning, Emma received a phone call that changed everything. "Hi, is this Emma Hayes?" "Yes," she said, wary. "This is Janet Simmons from Ellis & Cole Enterprises. Mr. Cole would like to speak with you regarding a position he thinks you might be perfect for. Would you be available to meet this afternoon?" Emma nearly dropped the phone. Ellis & Cole. That was one of the biggest tech firms in the country. She'd applied there weeks ago and never heard back. Yes. Yes, of course. That afternoon, dressed in her best blazer, Emma entered the sleek glass building in downtown Indianapolis, unsure what to expect. The receptionist greeted her and led her to the top floor. The elevator doors opened into a stunning executive suite with a panoramic view of the city. When she walked into the office, her breath caught. There, behind the desk, was the tired man from the airport. "Emma," he said, rising with a warm smile. "It's so good to see you again. You're Daniel." "Daniel Cole," he said, extending his hand. "CEO of Ellis & Cole. And also, a very grateful father." Emma was speechless. Her eyes widened, stunned into silence. "I never forgot what you did for me and my daughter," he continued. "You gave up your seat for 2 strangers. You had nothing to gain from it, yet you helped anyway. That kind of compassion isn't something you can teach. It's the kind of person I want on my team. Emma blinked. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he said kindly. You've already proven yourself. I reviewed your resume and your references, impressive, by the way, and I'd like to offer you a position on our communications team. Full salary, benefits, relocation if needed. What do you say? Her voice cracked. Yes. Thank you. I really needed this. Daniel smiled and walked her to the window. Sometimes the smallest acts reveal the biggest hearts. You reminded me of that. Months passed, and Emma flourished in her new role. She loved her job, her coworkers, and the sense of purpose it gave her. She even began mentoring new hires, always encouraging empathy and grace over ambition alone. One afternoon, she received an envelope on her desk with no name, only the words, "For Emma, with gratitude." Inside was a photo of her at the airport, taken candidly as she handed over her ticket. Alongside it was a note in Daniel's handwriting. Your kindness changed my path that night, not because you helped a CEO, but because you helped a father. Never underestimate the ripple effect of compassion. You didn't just give up a seat, you made room for hope. Emma teared up. It hadn't been about status or recognition. It never was. In a world often obsessed with getting ahead, she had stepped back. And in doing so, life had moved her forward in a way she never expected. Because sometimes, the smallest sacrifice can open the door to the greatest blessings. And Emma? She was living proof.